So for this week, we decided to deviate a little from our initial plan. Our initial plan was to have all obstacle classes to be ready, all screens to be ready, point.cpp, projectile.cpp, and halfway game manager class to be ready. What we instead decided to do was that decided to implement collision detection for the player and the obstacles, the player and the power up. For obstacles, we have different properties for each obstacle, and we also have a factory for the obstacle in our code as it is required by the project. For the screens, we have most of the buttons working by now. The resume button and the quit button and everything that is working. Our code is not completely integrated yet, but the one from last time is, and it's working fine. For my part, what I did was that I was working on the fonts, so I made a score class. And now when you shoot, so the score increments, and when you collide with an obstacle, the score decrements. I did also work on the timer, so it's on the same bar and it's integrated with the rest of the code. I'm now trying to encapsulate it into, it's done in a different class, as you can see. It's called text. I'm now trying to encapsulate most of the work into this class so that we can have a simple main function.
Alright, so for this week I was tasked with doing collision detection. So I made a class for that. It currently has one function that checks collision between two game objects. Since I got done with this pretty earlier, I've also got started on the game manager class. So all of the work that was previously being done in main has now been shifted to the game manager class, and main has an object of type game manager and it runs a loop on that object. So we see collision detection is now being done in game manager. These are the types of collision detection. So if a player collides with an obstacle, you lose points. If a bullet collides with an obstacle, you gain points. And if a player collides with a power up, 5 seconds are added to the timer. We will add more power-ups later, but let's see how this looks in gameplay. So shooting the obstacles makes you gain points. Colliding with obstacles makes you lose points. And colliding with any power-up adds 5 seconds to the timer. That is it for this week.
Hello, this is Vejit, and for this week I've incorporated a factory design pattern into our code so that our main file gets less clustered. So in our obstacle factory, we have one function called getObstacle, which fetches the obstacles into the main according to the type of obstacle it requires. Other than that, I gave some properties to the obstacles. For example, you can see that quiz obstacle falls faster than assignment obstacle, and the midterm obstacle occasionally appears on the screen. Uh, Another thing is that the quiz obstacle would pop up from anywhere from the screen, not just the top, so it will like kind of surprise the player. Apart from that, I also created some animation sprites for when the bullet hits the obstacles. This still has to be entered into our code.
Hello, this is Maria, and my job was to make sure that the power-ups will collide with the player, and I have made a function for that, check collider, with the player object and with the player and the power-ups. And there is another, I was also supposed to work on the execute specials of the power-ups, two of which cannot be done right now due to some problems with dealing with a timer class. And here, here's a timer bonus which disappears as it touches the player sprite, which means it is colliding. This won't record the console output, but it does show that they are colliding. So thanks.
Alright, so for this milestone, I worked some more on the screen and button classes. I managed to finalize them. And the screen class more or less the same. In the button class, I made more modular. I set functions to set the buttons according to the screen we're on. Updated the render function. It now takes a string parameter which checks which screen we're on and then renders the buttons accordingly. In the main class, the rendering is more or less the same. Put checks on the mouse presses and it sets the screen according to the button that is pressed, and it checks which screen we're on and which button we're hovering over and directs us accordingly. We play the game, it's the same. If we press enroll, we're brought to the gameplay screen. If we press the pause button, we're brought to the pause screen. If we press resume, we're brought back to the gameplay screen, and if you press quit, we're brought back to the main screen. You can drop out and the game closes. There are some sRGB profile warnings. Due to the sprite sheet that I'm using right now, I will fix that and hopefully they'll go away. So I finalized all the screens and the buttons for this milestone. Thank you.
We don't have a very descriptive plan for Thursday, our next milestone. What we are planning is that we should have the main level that we're working on working perfectly fine by then, so that by then we just have to add more levels with different functionalities, but the initial part of the game is to be done.